Welcome to the Rocky Star Sew Along. I'm so excited that you want to make this quilt with me. And yeah, before I jump into planning my version, showing you what I have in mind, I wanted to show you the two versions that are in the book that I've already made. So the first one is the first quilt I made for the book, and I made this as a way to figure out the assembly of the broken star. So I used blues and whites for my stash, and I can't really show you the whole thing because it's big, but well, it's not that big. This is the small throw, 61.5 by 65.5. I'll put a picture here so you can see the full size of it, but you can see it's all large. It's all just diamonds and background. So the diamonds are not pieced, you know, like individual piecing in each diamond. They are just one big diamond. And there are 32 diamonds total, 8 to form the star in the center, and then 24 around the outside. That's what makes it a broken star quilt. So I love this quilt. I love the scrappiness of it. If you want to make a scrappy version, I explain how I made this one in the book. But yeah, I think this one is very fun and it's one of my favorites. And the next one is my 2-color version, which is the one that you'll see most photographed in the book. And it has the red in the center. So there's 8 red diamonds that form the center star, and then the 24 diamonds around the outside are this roasted pecan color. And then I also put 4 of these blocks. This is the window star block from the book, and I have one of those in each of the 4 corners. And you can, that's one of my favorite parts about the book, is there are 4 of these blocks, and you can exchange them out for any of the background squares. So you can have a bunch of little stars around your broken star, or you could exchange these center squares here for a star block, which is kind of fun. So those are the 2 I've made. I'm also going to share different versions you can make that I have not made yet. And now let's talk about next version I'm making. Okay, so here is my plan so far. So it's kind of opposite as this one, where I used blues for my diamonds and whites for my background. Very scrappy. I got this fat quarter bundle from a local artist. I'll tag her in the description, but it's KSX Art, and she makes these floral sun prints. I can't remember what it's called, but she started putting her designs digitally printed on fabric. So I bought a fat quarter bundle, and I'm going to use 12 fat quarters as my background. So this is what a couple of them look like. So it's going to be pretty scrappy. Some of them are like the same shade of blue, and then some are a little different. And then I was going back and forth on what I should use for my diamonds. And I think I am just going to do almost exactly that opposite. So this is my plan right now. This is Fableism Golden Hour Deco stripe in Umber. So it's really pretty, a really pretty print. And I think it complements it well. I was looking at some other florals and they just didn't seem to go well together. And I don't use prints that often, so it's kind of tricky for me to put different prints together. And I don't have enough of this fabric to do the diamonds also. So I think this will be fun. And so all my diamonds are going to be the same. So it's basically a 1 color, because this one in my book was the 2 color. So I'm just referring to the diamonds when I say how many colors. So this one has 2 colors in the diamonds. I'm just going to use this one fabric for my diamonds, but 12 different prints as my background. So I think that'll be fun. And after I'm done talking about this version, I will share some different versions, not in the book, that you can make, that I think are pretty fun. So you can do a lot of different things and just be creative with it. And yeah, I think it's pretty fun. This is a good pattern, I think, to use any larger prints you have, or any fabric that you have, really, that you don't want to cut up into small pieces, because the diamonds are large, like I said, and not pieced. So like if you have fun prints that you don't want to cut up very small, this will keep most of it intact. So I think it's a fun way to use fabrics that you have a hard time cutting into, because you can keep them somewhat large. So the rest of this video, I will share some other versions that you can make. And yeah, I hope you have fun planning your quilt. I'm excited to make another version with you. Okay, so I wanted to show a couple more versions that you can make, and I'll show them here on the screen while I talk about them. The first one is, you can just make a 1-color version. So that means all of your diamonds will be the same and your background will be different. So that's like I'm doing. I already have my diamonds cut, but all of my diamonds are the same. So that's the 1-color version. You can do something like that. The 2-color version, I'll show both of this mock-up plus the version I made. I've showed you earlier in this video. That's one photographed the most in the book. So that's that one. And then another variation of the 2-color is, I'm calling a 2-color split. So if you imagine a diagonal line down the side of the quilt, or diagonally from one corner to one corner, these diamonds are one fabric and these diamonds are the other. So there's an equal number of both of those diamonds, but it's kind of a cool effect. So that's one option. You would need, so there's 32 diamonds in the whole star, so that'd be 16 of each fabric. And there's one more I'm calling a multicolor, which is, here it's 8 different fabrics, 4 fabrics of each, 4 diamonds of each. So that would just be one strip, one with the fabric strip. You can cut 4 diamonds from and use 8 different fabrics. And that's a kind of fun way. You can arrange them like this picture I have, or a random way, or an ombre effect. You can work on layout after you have all the diamonds cut. If you have a design wall or a big floor or something, you can lay that out. And then the last one is scrappy, and this is like extreme multicolor. So every diamond is different, and I will give you the measurement you need, like the minimum size piece of fabric you need to cut one diamond, if you are interested in that version. So yeah, those are some versions, a couple like the book, but also some new ones. So you can do whatever you want, and I'm very excited to see what you make. Okay, before I start cutting into my fabrics, I have a couple more things I want to share. So the first one is, I'm the type to just jump right into a quilt and just start cutting. I don't really like all the fabric prep stuff, but I think it's very important with this quilt, since there are so many Y seams, that you take time to starch and press your fabric before we start cutting, especially if you are going to be sewing with any sort of woven, anything with a looser weave than your traditional quilting cottons. So I wouldn't be as concerned if you were using, like normally I wouldn't starch this, because this is a digitally printed fabric and the weave is super thick or super tight. So I'm not worried about that. I pre-washed this, which I don't typically do. So I've pre-washed these and then I had to press them, but that's why they're a little frayed. But working with a woven, which I love to do, they just fray easier and sometimes move around a little easier. So I think the best thing to do is to starch and press before you cut. So I'm going to do that with this before I cut into my diamonds. And then I had someone comment on one of my posts on Instagram that they were nervous to get started. And I completely understand that, especially if this is a new quilt, new concepts, new skills. And I don't want you to be nervous. I think the most important thing to do is come into a new quilt with the mindset that you just have to slow down, take your time. Making something slowly is not bad. And just try to enjoy the process of it rather than just rushing through to the end. Because once you slow down, you'll get less frustrated because rushing sometimes leads to mistakes. So yeah, that's my biggest tip, is just have the mindset that this is new and it's going to take some time, but if you take your time, it's going to be enjoyable. So I'm excited to get started. And like I said, the first thing I'm going to do is starch and press my diamond fabric, and then we are ready for cutting.